All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new season of The Unstoppable Singer. I'm your host, a singer and vocal coach, Danielle Tucker. The Unstoppable Singer is an interview style show where we dive into the lives of real life professional singers who have achieved incredible feats in their careers. We explore the challenges and triumphs that come with a life under the bright lights, and we learn what being unstoppable truly means to them. So, if you're passionate about music and the stories of remarkable artists, then you're in the right place. Stick around. We're going to jump right into it, and I'm going to introduce my guest. Today, we have a truly remarkable guest with us, a talented singer, pianist, and vocal coach known for her extraordinary vocal prowess and her contributions to various music genres from Latin and jazz to R&B, classical, and gospel. Our guest today got her big break when a viral YouTube music video of her performing a stunning cover of If I Ever Lose This Heaven alongside members of Earth, Wind, and Fire took the internet by storm, accumulating over 5 million views. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. She has lent her incredible voice to major films like Wish, Avatar, The Way of the Water, and the Black Panther 2. You might have also seen her on your screens, both as singer and on-camera talent in TV shows like Disney Channel's Bizaardvark, Monarch, and Hacks. Not to mention, she's graced prestigious stages performing live behind legendary composer Danny Elfman at Coachella and the Hollywood Bowl. And beyond her remarkable career in the entertainment industry, she is equally passionate about mentoring and nurturing new talents in music, particularly Latina women, guiding them to thrive in their musical careers. So please join me in welcoming the unstoppable V. Jordan. Welcome.
Hello. Hi.
Hey.
So nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Finally, we've been working on this for a really long time.
Months. We're finally here.
We made it. We're here, and it's really, really great to meet you. I'm super excited for our conversation.
Me too.
Yeah. So why don't you just bring us up to speed on what you have going on in your career and life today? What's new in 2024 for you right now?
Yeah, great place to start. I just feel like this week in particular has just been the rush of work that I've been waiting for months. We've had this single strike.
Yeah.
You know, I had just had my baby, my daughter. She's 7 months old, so I took a little time off. So now I'm just like getting right back into it and at full speed. It's really fun. I've got a number of different things coming up, but I will be performing again behind Danny Elfman. We're going to Vegas this time. Really excited about that, late April. I do have a couple of collaborations this year that I'm really excited for, branching out a little bit more on my artist side.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some stuff out on Spotify, like covers I did of R&B and soul and that type of thing after I did the big YouTube video. But I've never collaborated with like other groups or artists before. So this will be really fun and new and fresh for me. So keep an eye out for that. And then I regularly perform at a jazz club in Beverly Hills called Vibrato Grill Jazz. And I'll be playing there February 2nd. Really excited.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. You do have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always fascinating to talk to working singers just because you really do kind of have to you got to have a lot of different streams of income. You've got to be involved in quite a few things and definitely having a newborn as well. That's requires some serious prioritization and time management skills. So how do you handle all of that?
Some days I do and some days I don't.
Yeah.
Thankfully, today was one of those days where it was handled. But yeah, sometimes it really is just waking up in the morning and writing down top 3 or top 5. And then I just have to commit to those. Yeah. And if those go awry, I really have to have grace for myself and say, this is okay. This is the new season of life that I'm in as a mom. I'm also like taking care of my husband. There's that. So, cooking and making sure his clothes are ironed, like all this stuff that's like I'm also a partner to someone, and that takes a lot of work
Yeah.
as well. So,
It sure
it's
does.
just having grace for myself and being like, okay, I'm going to do the best that I can today and hope that he appreciates it. I know she loves me regardless of whether or not I have clean PJs for her.
Mhm.
And just try to take a shower every now and then and eat some lunch.
Yeah.
Really
I
basic
love that
things.
answer.
Yeah.
I love that answer, B, because that is the cold hard truth. I mean, I have some really,
Yeah.
remarkable singers that come on here, including yourself, and they just live these, extremely busy lives, have these major
Yeah.
projects going on, and it from the outside looking in, you just think like, oh man, these people, they just absolutely have it made. They have it so together. They are so like on top of things. But the reality is that nobody
Uh,
is on it 100% every day. And when you
right.
have little ones, especially, I mean, well, everybody really, you do have to give yourself that grace and just, do
Yeah.
the best you can,
Yes.
you know.
That really is it. Just keep
Now,
your head up.
is this your first child?
It is. First one.
Oh, so this is a
Whole new,
whole
whole,
new
whole
ball of
new world.
wax.
Oh yes. Whole new world. The babysitting, the nanny, the how to feed her. She's eating all of my food now. So,
Mhm.
just like I love it. Every day is totally new and brings a whole new inspiration for my career.
Mm,
And honestly, it kind of focuses it a little bit more. When I
yeah.
was a little bit younger, didn't have a kid, wasn't married, it was kind of like all about me and my life, and I could drive anywhere, do anything, drop anything just to be at the most important places. And I think I was at a show every single night for about 2 years. And that's
Yeah.
really how I met all the people that I met, because I didn't go to music school, so I needed to like get into the business another way. And I know we'll talk
Mhm.
about that. um, Now that I'm a mom, it kind of channels me in a little bit clearer of a direction, and now I know what to say yes to and what to say no to. It's
Mhm.
nice. I feel like I'm in a new era.
Yeah. That's great. It's I don't know if you have felt this yet, but I remember when became a mom for the first
Yeah.
time, leading up to that, being in this business, there's so much self-promotion and you're constantly having to talk about yourself, put yourself out there. It's like at nauseum, right? But
Yeah.
once you have a child come along, then you have to take at least some of that focus off yourself. And I found it to be kind of a relief that,
Yes.
I wasn't like, I didn't feel like so self centered anymore.
Yes. Come look at my baby. She's really
Yeah,
cute. Now
exactly.
come to my show. It works.
Exactly.
It totally
Yeah.
works. Yeah. It's a great point. Yeah. She
Well, that's
definitely
great.
takes
Well,
takes some of the attention off of me, which I really like.
yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, let's back it up and
Hi.
take us back in time to little V Jordan and how you got started in music. What ignited your passion for singing?
Yeah.
And
I love this because I think it surprises everybody. But my name is Ivana Cespedes. That's my Cuban-Mexican, name that my father and mother gave me. And unlike most Latino kids, I didn't have like 3 middle names or like 4 middle names or anything like that. And I always looked a little bit lighter. So, my skin has always looked like this. My hair is a little bit lighter than usual, but I never quite felt Latina enough. I also grew
Mhm.
up in a home that didn't really play a lot of music other than classical and like soundtrack type. So usually voiceless. It was usually just oohs and ahs. It was a lot of film music. It was stuff like that, which is great because that's what I do now. But at the time, it got kind of boring because it was just the same thing over and over again. Um, in terms of the classical side, I got really, really deep into classical piano. I started out at 5, finished taking lessons around like 19 or 20. So I was very
Mhm.
consistent. And I started working as a pianist. I was an accompanist for a few years. And that's actually how I got to know a lot of singers, because I would play for their juries or their recitals. I would do the
Mhm.
same for instrumentalists. I would play lots of really difficult instrumentalist juries. And those were some really fun times and really gave me such an amazing musical education.
Mhm.
I really, ever since I was little, I think I really felt music. Like there was
Mhm.
just something that every time I would hear a really good groove or a really beautiful like chord, I would feel it in my bones. You know,
Mhm.
I could see my face would start contorting and I'd start moving my body. Even as a itty bitty, my mom would tell me, she would put up like opera singers on the TV or whatever, and immediately I would just be like, "What is that? What is that?" You know, so I was always
Mm.
really attuned to it somehow.
Yeah.
Um, but I never went to school for it. My dad really didn't want me to be a musician. So
Mm.
for an immigrant family, it's a little bit difficult sometimes because the emphasis really is on get a fantastic education, go to the best schools, and then um, work in something that's really like revered and something that will
Right.
have a number salary that will be consistent, that you'll be able to pay off your debt, like all that kind of stuff.
A real job.
A real job, quote unquote.
Yes.
So so dad, you know, was very like super feisty Cuban, okay, and very much like, you guys need to pursue this. He also had 5 daughters. So I'm the eldest of 5 girls, and
Wow.
we all ended up doing something totally different from each other.
Mm.
One sister's an accountant, one sister's a sign language interpreter, one sister's in the military. Like it's just all very unique. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I had this pressure to lead the gang, like
Mhm.
be the doctor. He was very, very, very intent on me being a doctor. I ended up getting a master's in nutrition science. So right around when I was 20, I got my master's. I graduated early from all my school. My parents were super, super gun ho on that stuff. I was homeschooled for a while, and then I did charter and private and all sorts of stuff. So I zipped ahead through my education, had my
Mhm.
master's by the time I was 20, was so
Wow.
sick of school, of classical music, of the same old, same old. My parents just wanted to get me married and get me taken care of, you know. And I was the rebel, and I was like, watch me fly. So I
Yeah.
just decided to totally, like, kind of out of a state of rebellion, just like,
Mhm.
let's go check out the music industry. Let me just go work for a recording studio and see what that's all about. Because I knew nothing at this point, like nothing.
Wow.
So I go to the recording studio. It's a fantastic recording studio for me at the time in Woodland Hills, and just a private engineer in his own home, but really, really beautiful. Like just absolutely curated every corner of that studio. And
Mhm.
he had really high profile clients come in. One of
Mhm.
them was the Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay.
And particular members that I played with, I befriended while I was working as the studio rat, the studio manager, whatever you want to call it,
Okay.
making everybody's coffees, you know, making sure all of the, you know, music stands were there, and just, I mean, making sure everybody was really comfortable. And I ended up getting to like be friends with them and just get
Mhm.
comfortable having a relationship with them. And they were always really like extra, extra sweet. I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know what this is, but I didn't expect icons to be so generous with their time and their
Mhm.
attention. And I mean, I was just the assistant, so it didn't really make a lot of sense.
Mhm.
I just really, I'm just so grateful that that happened. And I
Mhm.
ended up at the end of my time there, I had met Chicago, Kiss, Sergio Mendes, I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Diana Ross, Common, John Legend. Like, I had just worked with a huge lineup of the best people in this business.
Mhm.
And I had met all their background singers, and I had met all their pianists and their trumpet players. And I started to build this like little network.
Mhm.
And at the end of my time there, the engineer basically asked me what I wanted to do as part of our payment barter system for working there.
Mhm.
And I just told him what I wanted. I said, I see myself in a red suit. I'm sitting at the piano in your living room. Verdine's over there. You know, John Paris is right there. Sergio, and I laid it out for him. And he was like, okay, I guess I'll make this happen.
Really?
I don't know why, but I was balls out that day. I was like,
Yeah.
want what I want? I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna ask for it. What's
Yeah.
the harm? Right?
I
Like
love it.
he can just say no. That's it. He
Uh-huh.
just says no. But yeah, it takes a certain level of courage to just sort of do that. And I'm thankful it was blind courage, but I think that's kind of been something I've had to learn. It's just like
Mhm.
I just had to show up to those shows. I needed to go to these parties. I needed to ask for these favors. I needed to, I don't know, something about saying what you're dreaming and saying what you're thinking of and putting it out there really allows the people that are around you and your community to know what it is inside of your brain and your heart. Because I know
Yeah.
sometimes we sit here and we long and we're like hoping on a star, but saying it out loud really puts it out there and really forces you to do it. So that's how I got the gig with Earth, Wind, and Fire. And that video ended up skyrocketing during COVID. And in Ireland, in India, in France. And I mean, it just went global. It was crazy. I started getting fan emails from all over the world. And I was like, I don't even know what to do with this. I mean, this is so crazy. So, you know, from that kind of kick-started a lot of things for me. And it's been a great performance reel or just like a music video reel to send out to people who are hiring. But that's kind of when I made the switch from being pianist V to singer V. And that's actually where my name came from. I became V because that's what they called me in the studio.
Okay.
Verdine also goes by V. So when we introduced each other, he was like, "Hi, I'm V." And I said, "I'm also V." And he said, "You can be V and I'll be Verdine." And I was like, "Okay, I'm never changing my name ever again." Verdine blessed it. That's my name. So I just started calling myself V Jordan, put it on social, put it on like, you know, anywhere people would see it, business cards, whatever. And that first year is when I got hired. Disney hired me to do something on Disney Channel, and it was an on-camera spot. Sorry about that. On-camera spot, and I did a bunch of acapella stuff. I did the Goldbergs. I did a bunch of like TV to start. It was really, really fun. And that kind of made its way into film. And then eventually into live performance, started doing background vocals for Danny Elfman. That has been the most fun thing ever. His show is insane. You've got to see it if you haven't. It's like rock, film scores, like just craziness. It's so fun. So yeah, I think after the video, things kind of went crazy for me and the whole world opened up and I just pursued it. I was on I Can See Your Voice on their pilot episode on Fox and ended up meeting a bunch of friends from there that have kind of led to other opportunities that may come out as well. So yeah, looking for, you know, at this point, I'm just open to whatever comes next. But honestly, I have just had so much fun in this career. It's been a little stressful with the strike, a little stressful with COVID. You know, there's been times, but you know, even during COVID, I had the best job I've ever had, which was Wish. I played a really fundamental role on that film. I was Asha's demo singer, essentially. She's the lead character in the movie. And I performed her big song, This Wish, for like this international Disney summit thing. And I was the first person to ever sing anything from that movie. And it was kind of like their presentation of the movie to all these film executives. So it was a big deal. And then I continued to work on that film throughout the year. So yeah, just really, really cool. I can't believe I'm here. I never would have thought. My dad was
yeah.
He was. It took some time. I will say it took some time. But as soon as I invited him into that room with Verdine, all he had to
Mhm.
do was take one look, and he was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
my daughter knows what she's doing. She's doing her thing. Good job, V." And then he started calling me V. And that was just really, really sweet. He passed not last year, but
Mm.
2022, end of 2022.
Yeah.
And it was really
Oh,
cool to have that with him before he died.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God he got to see it with his own
Yes,
eyes, and
and enjoy it
yeah.
for a couple years. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Man, that is so I'm so inspired by that. Just backtracking, even just, on the same topic of
Yeah.
your parents, just knowing how hard you had worked to fulfill essentially what was really their dream, what their dream for you was. And
Yeah.
it's certainly admirable and
Yeah.
wonderful for a
Absolutely.
parent to want the absolute best for their kids. But I'm not sure of any parent on the planet that would be like, why don't you be a musician or something
Yeah,
like that when you grow
exactly.
up? That seems cool and
Yeah, I know.
lucrative. I mean, who would? But I love that there was something inside of you that gave you the audacity to step outside of that, you know,
Yeah,
what had been kind of figured out for you, and
right.
to make that kind of a move. But then also you then do it again in the studio context, by telling the studio manager, I can't remember if you said his name or not, that, this was what you wanted in return. And those are two incidences that just had to be brutally uncomfortable on the inside. But just was there just that something inside of you that just said you just have to kind of do it?
There
Yeah.
was. A really good demonstration of that would be one of my first jobs ever was performing at the Grammy Music Cares. They were honoring Dolly Parton for that. I think
Mhm.
this was 2019. It might have been 2020, 2019, I think. And Tim Davis was contracting that one. He's worked with lots of singers in this business, and I love him.
Mhm.
And I got to be there with a big group of singer friends. It was
Mhm.
just the most fun day. I met my best friend that day. We were so nervous, it was like 3,000 like uber famous people around us, and we were just like
Mhm.
giggling the whole time. It was great.
Mhm.
There was a lady that I sat down with that day, one of the singers. Her name's Wendy Wagner, and I just love her.
Yes.
She's become like a mentor, mother figure, like everything to me.
I love Wendy.
And she took one look at me after talking to me for like a couple of minutes, and she was like, you know, you've got something about you. There's
Mhm.
When you talk about music, when you talk about what you think you might want to do here, your eyes light up. Something about you sparkles when you think about what you want to do here, and that's
Mhm.
really special, and I want you to hold on to that. And I've really thought about that ever since she said it. But that's a great kind of demonstration of what I was feeling when I went up to the engineer and I was like, "Hey, this is what I want." Or I went up to my dad and I told him, "Hey, I'm going to be a singer." Like,
Mhm.
it is balls out. It takes
Yeah.
courage, but I had the thing. It was just this. I knew I was supposed to be in it, and I had really good people who told me that I should. There's a
Yeah.
big, 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 big part of me that doubted every part of this and still does. It's
Mhm.
just like, why am I here? I'm not as talented as XYZ. I don't have a music degree. That's been a big one for me.
Mhm.
I didn't go to music school with all these people, so I don't have like this super long background. Like, I don't have anything to stand on other
Mm.
than me, just
Yeah.
my talent and my look and my confidence. And that's
Mhm.
challenging when you're going into a situation where, especially on film scores, I'm usually singing with people who are in the Los Angeles Master Chorale, people who
Mhm.
have been, like, famous kind of opera singers. And I mean, it's just like Avatar was a crazy job. That was like an opera session.
Oh, yeah.
That
Mm.
that was a true test of my skill because I was standing next to 5 sopranos in the Los Angeles Master Chorale. And then there was
Mhm.
me. I was like, okay, I gotta find it in me. Where's that sparkle? Come on, V. Like, I
Yeah.
just have to tap into it and believe that it's there and put my best foot forward,
Mhm.
and then call it a day and try
Yeah.
again tomorrow.
I admire and respect that so much. And I love that you've touched on kind of that, I don't know if you ever use this terminology about the way that you felt, but kind of that imposter syndrome thing
Absolutely.
where when you are in a business where most of the people who are highly successful in it are just loaded with credentials or
Yeah.
with family legacy, that brought them into these
Oh, man.
situations and just have the resume and then but to have that enough grit inside of you to say, well, I'm gonna step into this world anyways, even though there's big parts of me that feel like I don't necessarily deserve to be there or really belong there,
Yes.
but you do it anyway and look at you now,
Yeah. Probably my best story about grit
Mhm.
is I was in a kind of like a workshop thing, and there was a contractor who um, mistakenly thought that I was singing the wrong note. So we were singing a chord, soprano, alto. He heard a little flub from someone behind me.
Mhm.
There's 50 singers, okay? I'm in the front row. There's
Mhm.
50 session singers, popular ones in LA. He, the contractor comes up to me and says, "Hey, stop singing." And this is my first time, like this is within my first month of being in the business.
Ah.
He's just like, "Stop singing." To me, grabs me by my shoulder, "Stop singing." Walks away. Whoever was behind me, not getting that, just stopped singing. So of course, when he said, "Sing the chord," it was in tune. So naturally, he thought I was the problem. It's okay. They make mistakes. But that was a really tough one because it was in
Mm.
front of everybody.
Mm.
And nobody knew who I was. I was a brand new face. That was really hard for about 10 seconds. I was like, "Oh my God, it's over."
Yeah,
Like, just like that.
you're done. Pack
And
your
then
bags.
and then 10 seconds later, I found that sparkle. I said, "You know what? I want that contractor to hire me in the next 2 years."
Mhm.
And I just made it a goal. I was
Mhm.
like, "You know what? This is tough. This
Yeah.
is hard. I want that person to hire me for a job within
Mhm.
the next 2 years. And
Yeah.
I want to prove that I can do this to
Yeah.
myself." That's
That's grit. It
and
really is.
it.
You put your big girl pants on and just said that, hard things are gonna
Yeah,
happen and I'm a person who can handle that and I'm willing to put
yeah,
myself in those situations uh where those things just inevitably
yeah,
happen. And you could have gone in a different direction with that whole thing. You could have felt very sorry for yourself, embarrassed, and
yeah,
then maybe gotten a little like resentful towards the
yes, yes, for the
person
contractor.
leading and
Yes,
just gone down a totally different road. And where would that have gotten you?
yes. And
Mhm.
they did hire me within the 2
Mhm.
years. I got the job, and it was just it was a freaking, like, I took a victory lap around the house.
Mhm.
I was like, "I did it. I proved to myself." Because that was the most important thing. You're talking about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is within you.
Mhm.
It's a voice of fear that says, "You don't deserve to be here, you don't have enough credentials," whatever, whatever, whatever. There's a host of reasons.
Mhm.
But knowing that that is within me and that outside of me, there were very good and very important people saying, "You do deserve to be here."
Mhm.
I was like, "Okay, this is my own voice that I have to learn to turn off myself."
Yeah. Right.
Otherwise, you're right. It can go toward the path of resentment very quickly and
Mhm.
then regret, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's easy. It's easy to indulge in that and to sink into that and go home you know, pout about it a little bit, but when you can take the higher road and really just embrace those situations when they happen, it stings and everything, but when you can really use it to as a stepping stone forward, that's amazing. It really, really
Yeah.
is.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. Aw. So I guess more on the imposter syndrome thing,
Yeah.
because I think it's an important topic, because it's really your journey really is a great illustration of how to get past those things,
Yeah.
um, because initially you were known as piano player.
Yes.
Not even
Yes.
singing wasn't even like your signature thing.
That's right.
I'm curious, like when did that start emerging? When did the singer side of you start coming out?
Yeah. It was funny. I was on I Can See Your Voice, and they asked me this question during like a round, like on live
Uh-huh.
TV. And they asked me the same question. They're like, "When did you start singing?" Adrian Houghton asked me this question. She's like, "When did you start singing?" I was like, "Last year." And they all stopped and they were like, "What? No way." They didn't even believe me. But really, this is true. What
Mhm.
happened was I was purely a pianist, and I would do the whole, you know, pick up the guitar sometimes and sing a little, sing a little Tori Kelly or something, just like in my
Mhm.
bedroom, or maybe sing in the church choir or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was always a really high soprano. That was just kind of naturally my range. My voice was usually softer and really, really like pure.
Yeah.
Um, but that was kind of like a kid voice. So I didn't really develop that until I got into vocal jazz. And that I started doing when I was around 20.
Mhm.
And I was in a vocal jazz group through a community college called College of the Canyons in Santa Clarita, California, led by Julie Lawson, who's just one of my dearest friends today.
Mhm.
And she just gave me a shot. I came out of nowhere. I wasn't going to the school. And I was just like, hey, can I be a part of this? This sounds really cool. Again, just like, let me just
Another example.
let me just see what happens. And she was like, yeah, sure. I mean, we're kind of low on sopranos anyway. So I
Mhm.
came in, I auditioned. I'd never heard of a 12 bar scat before, but I did it that day. And, you know, um, I just really excelled in that group. I
Mhm.
think I had a lot to learn in the beginning, but then I really picked it up. And that's really a strength of mine is I just learn really quickly and can hold
Mhm.
on to things really, really fast. So by the time I was there for the second semester, um, I really felt like I was leading the group.
Mhm.
Um, I was sight reading better. I was remembering the passages better. I was connecting with the band better. There was just what do you call it, like a I when Julie would say, "Here's what this musical phrase is calling for. Here's what I need you guys to do."
Mhm.
I had already done it. And I don't know how to explain exactly what that is, other than my piano background really gave me such a key theoretical and just a deeply musical understanding of the music itself, of the sheet
Mhm.
music.
Yeah.
So I became a really good sight reader because I knew what those little hairpins were. I knew what the Italian words meant. Like,
Mhm.
and that meant something to me because I was like, the music is calling for me to do this. So I am
Mhm.
going to do that to the best of my ability. And that helped me to understand, wow, I think I'm learning how to sing. I
Yeah.
know what she's saying before she sang it. So that's really cool. And then over the next 3 years, I did it for 3 years.
Mhm.
We did a bunch of jazz competitions and festivals, and I always had a solo every semester. So that was a really good way to, I mean, vocal jazz is just, it's difficult and it's
Yeah.
so fun. It's my favorite thing to sing. And it just taught me so fast. I learned so many things. And she put me in every girl part. I was soprano 1, and then I was alto 2, and then so she put me everywhere. So I got to try every vocal part and learn kind of what the altos do as opposed to what the sopranos do. I put a lot of little groups together, and we started doing our own stuff. So through that is kind of how I learned how to sing, and I really learned what I could do. And then I started working at the studio somewhere around like midway through those 3 years, and that's where I started putting all those pieces together in a studio environment. And I got to sing a lot in the studio. I did a lot of little demos, a lot of reels that I use to this day. So yeah, I kind of learned through doing it and seeing what my voice could do.
Yeah. It's really fascinating because you came at it from almost an opposite direction that a lot of singers do, which is they're singers, they come out of the womb singing, and then they are then kind of molded theoretically, and kind of develop their musicality after the fact. But you had that soul deep before you were really excelling as a singer, and it just seems like a knowing that you had an understanding of music, and you were just able to just articulate it with your voice.
What's even more interesting is that I told you before, I only listen to classical music and like soundtrack film scores. So I didn't know who Stevie Wonder was until I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Queen and Aerosmith and the Beatles. I didn't know this music. I didn't know these groups. And that part usually shocks people because that is literally all I sing now. When I perform at the jazz club, my set is purely from the 70s, 80s. I'm singing funk, soul, jazz, R&B. So it just, like I said, I'm a fast learner, and it kind of became a part of me as soon as I heard it. I was 16 when I found Stevie Wonder, Nat King Cole, and Doris Day. Those are like my first 3. And then from there, Stevie did so many collaborations. I listened to all of his albums, and that's basically how I learned about all the different artists. And that really educated me a lot. I would sing in my car, and I would try to sound exactly like the singer that I heard. And I would start to train different, what I didn't know were vocal techniques back then, and colors and tones and all this stuff that I had to learn. And eventually I was able to put more language to that as I got some mentoring, and I got someone to actually help me understand the voice a little better and to train me. But in the beginning, it really was just me and Stevie and a little bit of vocal jazz. And that really taught me how to sing.
Well, he's a solid mentor. That was probably a really good choice.
I have a very, very special relationship with him.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. Your story is so inspiring. And I know it's going to be really inspiring to everybody listening to this as well. I'm going to ask you a final question, but before we do that, tell us again about the performance that you have coming up, and I'll make sure that I put links and everything in the show notes.
Great. So I have a show at Vibrato Grill Jazz. It's on February 2nd. There's 2 shows. One's at 7, one's at 9:30. The 7 o'clock show has a dinner at 6 for anyone who wants to go for a little date night or something special. We are literally playing all the crowd favorites from the last year that I've been doing. 70s, dance music, like just all the fun stuff. Most people are going to know almost every song. So it's it's going to be a party.
Awesome. I love it. Wow. Well, V, like I said, I'm super inspired by you. And I know that as I go on with my week, and when I start, tackling some of the hard things I need to do, I'm going to channel my inner V and ask myself, what would V do? Give me that V grit.
That's right.
I love it. And I think we all have that inside us somewhere, but just depending on our conditioning and, where we're coming from, there's a few select people that just will listen to that that inside of them.
And I wanted to add that you have to continue doing that.
Yeah.
It's highly relevant to me today to continue having that grit, to continue that, the intensity of that pursuit of what I want, because the industry isn't just sitting there waiting for you. You have to go out and get it. You have to ask for it. And you want to do it in a way that's organic. And that's kind of difficult sometimes. But, I had the really special opportunity to sing in the Nightmare Before Christmas shows at the Hollywood Bowl last year. And Catherine O'Hara was there. And I mean, Danny Elfman, of course, was there. And it was my first time singing for that show. And that was a situation where I literally just emailed the lady that I knew was contracting, Bobby Page. And I just said, hey, I'm V. Here's my stuff. I would love to sing with you sometime. But that took weeks. I was like, I was nervous. I had sung with her before in some films, but I knew that I just needed her to see me. Yeah. And so I just went for it. And it just so happened that she had a spot to fill. And that's how I got to sing on that one. But it is still relevant to keep that pursuit. And as a mom, it's a totally new thing that I'm exploring, how to pursue while I have a little baby that's on my mind 90% of the time, I just want to say that, I think some people think if once one and done, she pursued Earth, Wind and Fire and she got the viral video. Yeah. It's done. Her career is there for her now. It's like, no, every week I'm still emailing people, calling people, texting people. I'm still trying to see what I can show up to now. I still have to put myself out there, and I still have to use grit to get what I want. I just want to throw that out there.
I'm so glad you did. That is such a great message. I hope everybody's listening and really absorbing that. I want to ask a quick follow-up question on that, because, I think a little mistake that I see with some singers who have a lot of energy and inner confidence to, make the ask and put themselves in these situations, can come off sometimes as a little maybe opportunistic, or just like it's very clear that they're there with an agenda, and maybe not so much that they genuinely care about the relationship aspect of it. Like, how do you keep that in check? So what is the spirit that you are channeling when you are pursuing opportunities? What do you
Great question. Great question. And I love talking about this with my students, because a lot of them are coming from UCLA or USC, and they're just trying to get into the business. And what I usually tell them is, the heart that you have coming into the relationship with whoever this person is that you're trying to network with. The reality is, you want to get to know people so that they eventually hire you, so that you get to do the job and you make money and you get to do this career in music. So that's the reality. But the heart, I think, is what makes the difference. So usually when I'm approaching someone in the past, notice I use the word grit. I use the word courage. I didn't use the word confidence. And the reason is because I think sometimes super confidence comes off as super egotistical and super self-minded. This is about me. I want the job. What can you give to me? As opposed to the heart and the mindset coming into it is, I'm really grateful to be here. I want to give credit to the people who have already gotten me here. So I'm usually really, 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 really important to me is to give credit. There's like 5 people in my mind that I'm like, that person got me that, which led me to that. That person got me that. And I always thank them for it. And that kind of heart and humility really comes out when I'm trying to have a relationship with a person, because that's the kind of relationship I want with them. Yeah. I want a relationship where it's mutually beneficial, where I give you the credit and the recognition that you deserve for giving me what I wished for, what I wanted. Yeah. And it's more about the heart and the mindset, and that really kind of helps what you say. That's always the hard part as well. So yeah, I would just say, it's hard to tell someone, be humble. So the more I think the way that I say it is, be grateful and extend credit where it's due. And that attitude tends to come out really organically to someone.
Yeah.
And it gives a relationship that two-way, mutually beneficial. I'm giving to you, you're giving to me. And honestly, finding ways to benefit that person is helpful. I've done a lot of free stuff. A lot of free stuff. We all do it, right? We have to do free stuff for people that we're hoping will eventually be willing to hire us.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to do that because I know that that wins good favor and goodwill between us. And that's what matters. It's not, I don't need to really, my approach isn't to try to charm them into it or to try to win them over with like how cute I am or how I talk or, you know, or here's my long list of things that I've done.
Yeah.
It's not really my way. That can be some people's way, but I think that can go south really quickly. So yeah, those are the things I usually say to my students. And we usually have exercises that we try to practice. I do real role situations where I'm like, here, come talk to me. You know,
love that.
Try to market yourself.
Yeah.
So it takes some practice. I've definitely not done a good job sometimes. It's okay. It happens.
Yeah. That's life. Yeah. That's such beautiful, beautiful advice. I love that. Just creating reciprocal relationships and not thinking of it in terms of like it being transactional, but really an energy reciprocation where you're really trying to pour into somebody else's life and offer them something. And it's not that it's expected in return, but I think it's just a law of the universe. That's just how it goes. You know, that's how it works.
And almost everyone that has hired me, I have a very personal friendship with them. And that really is the win for me. Yeah. The relationship is the win. Yeah. The job, the project is really cool. I'm so proud of what I've been able to do. And I'm looking forward to what I'm going to be able to do in the future. But the relationship is what lasts the longest and will have the most impact in the future. So that's
the real reward right there. Yep. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Well, V, obviously, you know, just talking about your journey and the things that you've had to, or you've come up against, the obstacles that you've had, and just your grit, your determination and everything. What is it that makes you unstoppable?
Oh, what is it that makes me unstoppable? Yeah, I think it's just the clarity on who I am, what do I value, what do I want for my life, and how do I want to extend goodwill to the people that are around me. I think that really is the success that I have found, and that fills me the most with the most satisfaction. So I think what makes me unstoppable is actually just my kindness and the fact that I want relationships with people that last and are good and are well. And that's hard to do. It's hard to do. So that to me is really a true marker of success in my career.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, I love it. Wow. I love our conversation. This was amazing. I'm so glad we finally made it happen.
Yay.
And it's an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. And I definitely am going to want to follow up, and I will continue to be a cheerleader on the sidelines. I always love seeing your updates on Instagram and whatnot. And I wish you the very best at your show on the 2nd. And I'll put all of the info and the links. And thank you to everybody listening. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, but we'll let you go for now, V.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.